Welcome to Balls and Brews, Pod 4, opening day. Cheers,
Cheers.
boys.
Cheers.
That's tasty.
Yeah, I got Chuck to my left, Zack on my right. What we drinking, Chuck?
A traditional Reno beer, Great Basin's Truckee River Red.
Good.
It is a solid malty red, a little bit of hops, but definitely more on the malt side of things. As you can see from their beers, carries a good head.
Nice color.
Nice color, nice
Very
mouthfeel.
nice color. Very nice color.
Yeah, so a flagship around this here town.
I'd like to give a shout out to the locals, always usually on the pod, but yeah, definitely a great beer. Love the color of it. Definitely is a classic red beer.
Yeah, definitely has like what I look for in a red too. This is a red I would drink regularly. Just that nice malty flavor. Almost kind of like between an amber and a red.
Yes, I agree. Very much so.
Good. Well, shout out to our local breweries because we do like to give love. We have a very good beer scene here in Reno. We're very fortunate for that. So you're going to see a lot of locals pop up because they do make really good beer. That being said, we want to get into some opening day. We just want to give some love, right?
What's up, baseball?
What's up,
Opening
baseball?
day. National holiday. National holiday.
Let's go.
I think it's the start of any new season. There's hope, right? As a fan, you just
Not my team.
that is
We got no
true.
hope. No hope.
The Bay Area teams don't have a lot of hope, I would say, going into
I would
this
say the
season.
Giants have a
little bit
smudge
more
of
hope,
hope
more
than
than
the
A's.
A's.
Not really.
A's have no hope. Zero.
No. Anyway, we're going to get into breakdowns, division winners, wild cards, and all those things a little bit later in a segment down the road. But we definitely want to touch on March Madness.
Great weekend last weekend in basketball.
Great weekend.
You guys, this is quite possibly the most absurd Final Four we've ever seen.
Yeah,
maybe
I think
ever
so.
in the tournament's lifetime.
You got three teams that it's their first time ever being there, right? Miami, San Diego State, and FAU. That's never happened before. There's always been at least maybe two teams, maybe the first time, but there's never been three teams first time in the Final Four.
Well, yeah, normally it's upsets early, chalk late, right?
Yep.
And
Always.
This was also the first tournament where there wasn't a 1, 2, or 3 seed in the Final Four
Yes.
ever.
That Texas Miami game was intense. That was such a good game all the way
Game
through.
was great.
I was on the losing end of that for my bracket, but it was a great game anyways.
Yeah, let's go on record and say, Money, I'm sorry. We sat here and shat on you, and you ended up winning our bracket.
I mean, I took Arizona, and it didn't matter. I took
And
Arizona
it didn't
because I was the
matter.
only guy left for the
You
team
goddamn
in the
right.
Final Four.
Yep.
Thank you, UConn. They were my team losing to Arizona. Obviously, that was wrong, but I might be half right because UConn looks like the favorite the rest of the way.
So going into the favorite, Trev, who do you got, Miami or UConn?
The way UConn's been playing, I keep rolling with UConn. I had them in my bracket. I should have took them over Arizona, obviously. Miami, though, I like that team.
I do too.
And
I was impressed, their game.
Chuck,
against
so
Texas.
I mean, we were talking about this earlier. Are you staying in UConn, or are you
Yeah.
gonna slide to Miami?
Yeah, no, I'm not sliding. I think it's going to be a good competitive game. At one point, let's not forget that UConn was the number one team in the nation. They were 14-0, I believe, before their first
Yep.
loss. So
I think something like that.
it's not to say that this team wasn't, kind of already seen a little bit. They fluttered, which is why they fell to the 4, but they are for sure the favorites going in. Like you had mentioned, all of the 3 other teams have never even been here before. So,
I'm gonna go different. I'm gonna say
Okay.
Miami. I like the way
you
they're
think
hot.
you think the momentum of coming back from
Yep,
Texas?
They're hot. The way they've won 2 games in a row different ways. They beat Texas with points in the paint, and then to get there they win on the 3, so they can win both ways. So I think they're going to give UConn a fit, and I'm going to take Miami on the run to beat UConn.
Nice.
I do like Miami's style. Like,
I do.
If they have any players getting drafted, I think they'd fit in Golden State really well. Just saying.
Just a plug, real quick.
The other game is San Diego State versus FAU. San Diego State's a Mountain West, so that resonates with me. Being a Wolfpack fan, Mountain West, it's nice to see that lower conference get in there. So I'm taking San Diego State. I like the way they play defense. They play hard defense. They need to find some offense here and there, but they play some really hard defense. I'm going San Diego State.
I mean, are we all pulling for San Diego State, Mountain West?
I mean, would I say I'm pulling for them? Maybe not, but I know that Kawhi Leonard is. No, San Diego State, man, sure. That's a proud program. Just because they've never been there before doesn't mean that they don't have a rich history. They've made plenty of upsets in this tournament before, so I think FAU is the big story here. Like, who saw that coming? For sure.
For sure.
Like, I think SDSU is going to win this game, and I don't think it's particularly going to be close, but then again, we also kind of shit on FAU last podcast.
I said they wouldn't make it out of this round.
Tennessee was...
And I said it was going to be Princeton, so, I mean, fuck.
Hoop-de-hoop, you know.
Don't listen to us if you're betting.
We know all the...
Don't listen to us if you're betting.
But for pure entertainment reasons, if you just want sports opinions, this is the podcast for you.
If I got San Diego State, Miami, you guys have...
San Diego State, UConn.
Are you guys taking UConn, or is it...
I'm taking UConn the rest of the way.
Yes.
And then I'm gonna take Miami over San Diego State.
You go Miami Chip in it.
Yep.
All right.
I was gonna go Texas Chip if they would beat Miami. That game was
That's a story. That's a story, man. That ACC normally. Are you kidding me? Coming out of a conference that has Duke and North Carolina and Wake Forest and Georgia Tech, all these historic basketball schools,
for sure.
And you come out and get it. That'd be nasty.
For sure. Let's roll into the NBA. We got LeBron returning. They came out. He lost the first one coming back. Gets to win the second one. KD back now. We thought he was out the rest of the season. There's only 6 games left. What do you think of them both returning?
Well, with KD, it was kind of a slow start. I guess it's a little unexpected, but I think that's kind of why he came back before the end of the season, trying to get going again.
I agree.
LeBron, I mean, he was coming off the bench, and he had 19 points.
I think something like that.
Solid outing, of course. AD was the story in that game, though, for sure.
Yeah, when AD wants to play, he's been on fire, but AD's got to be assertive, especially when LeBron's there. AD's still got to insert himself into the game. Make sure he's like the offensive presence. Shout out to Austin Reeves real quick. But Chuck, what are you thinking on either of those two?
Man, I think that the Lakers are going to be potentially formidable. They really came together while LeBron was trying to heal this last time. They made those moves at the trade deadline. They have shown consistent growth as a team. AD is arguably a top 5 player still when fully healthy. The motto of this podcast remains your best ability is availability.
Correct.
And he's been working on it. He's been getting back. He's been getting healthy. So if him and LeBron come in at 90% each, that Laker team could move some mountains. They could. Although I would say that I think the bigger deal is KD coming back for the Suns. I really do. If he can solidify that roster, there's a lot of talent outside of him as well.
I think him coming back for the 6 games is kind of big.
Yeah,
a little bit of because what, he played 1 or 2? Did he play 3? 3. So just coming back and getting a little bit more.
It was his first home game.
Yes, so getting a little bit more involved in the offense, I think, is a big thing. Also, we got the Kings. We've been talking about the Kings a lot on this podcast, but for some reason, but 16-year drought of the playoffs. That's big news. Big news.
Man, there's nothing like that. Getting over the hump, getting over that hill.
Gives that fandom, man. You love it as a fan, man. You've never seen it. 16 years. There's people that it's never been. 16-year-olds are like, wow, my team's never been in the playoffs. This is the first time ever. That's crazy. That's crazy. Never seen that.
Especially considering that 20 teams make the playoffs.
Correct. Chuck will get in that later. He's got a little beef to pick with the NBA. So
little bone to pick.
We'll get that later. Don't get too crazy here, Chuck. So we got 6 games left. What are we looking like standing wise? Let's take a peek at that real quick.
All right, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go over this, you guys. So the East is a little bit more decided than the West right now. Milwaukee, Boston, Philly, and Cleveland all clinched.
Yep.
They might interchange within those 4 spots. Not so much at the top. Milwaukee is a 3-game lead on Boston, so
6 left.
Yeah, you're not. You might see that slip, but the likelihood is minimal. Right, probably not. But those 4 locked in, and then we're looking at New York. Brooklyn holding on strong, so that's your 5-6. Those are big spots right there.
What up, Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Staying strong after losing everybody, all that chaotic mess. But for the Knicks, Julius Randle went down today. He's out for what did they say?
2 weeks potentially.
2 weeks. So that's big.
That's the rest of the season, and then into. So they gotta cling on to the. They gotta get in.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the playoff.
No, the play-in tournament. He won't be ready by then.
Yep.
You got to get into the series.
So that's kind of a big injury at the end of the season.
Agreed.
What are they? Is there anybody close at the bottom of the East?
At the bottom, all right. So 7 through 10. We'll just get through that. That's Miami, Atlanta, Toronto, Chicago, and.
Chicago's at 10?
Right? I know. I've liked that roster for multiple years, and for some reason they just don't do it.
Ball was hurt all year, right?
He hasn't played.
He has to have another knee surgery, so that impacts. But still, DeRozan.
That's Brandon Roy all over
everybody
again,
else.
Man.
So, man, that is a bummer. That is a bummer.
It is.
The West is a little bit more compact, right, Chuck?
Oh my gosh, the West is thick, you guys.
We were talking about it earlier. It is crazy.
Yeah, no, the West is basically all within 3 games of each other, from 4 to 11, pretty much. It's wonderful if you're a fan of the NBA right now. Yeah, a little sweating bullets if you're a bubble team, but like the possibilities are endless. Who could and who couldn't make the playoffs is wide open right now, which is great with 6 games left. Top 3 have clinched. Denver, which we've spoken on. Memphis and Sacramento, which we just gave shout out to. So those are the only 3 that are clinched. The 4th right now is Phoenix with KD coming back. They're going to
probably stay at 4.
They're going to be fine. Clippers. Russell Westbrook just dropped 36 earlier this week.
PG is hurt, so when is he? Do we have a timetable on that? Has anybody heard?
I have honestly not heard.
So PG's still out, so that still hurts the Clips. And they're at 5?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
All right, and then we have Trev's team sitting there at 6 right now. They are only, are you ready for this? A game up and then a game and a half up of both Minnesota, LA, and New Orleans. All 3 of those teams are a game and a half away from each other, you guys. That is madness.
And that's to 8?
That's to 9.
Oh,
that's
shit.
to 9, and then 10 is only another half game out of that. It's 2 games that separate 6 through 10. That's insane.
Who's 10?
10 is the Oklahoma City.
Oh yeah. They got
Thunder.
They're young. They're explosive offensively. Not much defense, but.
Where is the defense? Who is our defensive team?
People that play at the top. Milwaukee Bucks play defense.
Boston
does play good defense.
Okay, so East. Is there any defense in the West? Does anybody stake claim to good defense in the West?
I mean, I haven't watched very much, but apparently Sacramento's, I think, the team with the best defense in the West.
Wow. Okay, so maybe Sacktown makes a move in the playoffs.
I mean, that's the other thing too. With the West as close as it is, and the talent at the teams that are at the bottom of making the play-in too, like that, it can go so many different ways. I think we all still like Phoenix with KD, but it's much more wide open compared to the East.
Me and Chuck were talking about this. You imagine running in, like if you're like Denver or Memphis and you run into like the Lakers in the first round with a healthy AD and a healthy... They might beat you. They might not beat the next team. They might be a little... but can you imagine that being the team you run into as you're like the top seed? You're going to see that
shit
Laker
on
team.
Minnesota earlier in the pod. Not this one's, but earlier in our broadcast.
They'd be scary to see too.
Those 3.
If they play, sometimes they don't play. That's the role of that team.
I understand that, but I watched that game last night, and they look like they're ready. Cat looks like he might be ready to take a step forward Ant Edwards is a baller.
He's I like him.
Gobert does what you need him to. He knows what he is.
He's going to rebound, and he's
going to rebound. He's going to shot block. He's going to plug the paint. Like he does what he needs
That's
to.
What he
gives you 10
game.
or 12 points
every game.
Rebound.
Yep.
Like so.
But you need Cat to be assertive.
That's you do. You need him to get 30. You need him 30
Edwards
burgers.
is going to be there. You got to have Cat. For them to be good, for them to make a run, Cat's got to be the guy.
So shout out to the Western Conference in the NBA right now. There's a lot of good basketball. Do you think Trevor that the Warriors will hold that 6 seed?
I'd have to look at the remaining schedule.
Sure.
They can obviously. GP2. He's back, but he's not completely filled into his role yet. Like it seems like his chemistry might be a little off. Maybe it's the injury that he was coming back from.
Shape a little bit.
Yeah. So.
Dude, isn't it shitty that it was basically understood that the Portland doctors pushed him back too fast? That they specifically screwed up his timeline, and they knew it. That's not right, man. I hope that there's some sort of recourse for that, man, because that's bullshit.
Because bad medical staff.
I was surprised at that. I was surprised that the Warriors and GP2 didn't come up with a contract before. I thought that was the perfect match. I couldn't believe that didn't work going in. I'm glad he's back because I think it's a great mix. But I
agree. No, I didn't want to let him go. I'm happy he's back. I hope that, he starts to gel. The big thing will be Wiggins, though. If he's able to return, I hope he's able to get back and, just play so he can get past everything else that he's got going on. Because if he could do that, then we can contend, but it's still...
How much longer is he under contract?
Still don't know.
They have them all locked up for a couple years, I think. All three of them. Wiggins, Steph,
and
Clay,
Poole.
and Poole are all locked. Also, four of them. Dre's on.
Dre's
but we all agree
Dre's gone.
We all agree that he should be gone anyway.
Yeah.
So those
he'd have to take a very team-friendly deal.
Those four are all
next year.
That's
those
the
four
only way
are
he
all
comes back.
Locked up, I think, for multiple years. If I think so.
I believe you're correct.
That's insane. That's. God, okay. Hey, real quick, as I say, you guys mentioned GP2. I'm sitting here in a Gary Payton jersey. Can we just say, bring the Sonics back, bring some love back to Seattle, bring the NBA back to Seattle.
I mean, shouldn't have ever left.
Should have never left. Thank you, guys. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me, and I know you don't mean it because off camera they shit on me all the time. Let it be known.
Well, that's because they left.
That's because they left, and it broke my heart.
That's one of our go-tos. We'll admit it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Let's roll into some. We got a little bit of free agency to talk. We'll touch on the Seattle thing right here, Chuck. Bobby Wagner signs 1 year deal at Seahawks. That's a great signing, man.
5-4's coming home, y'all. We manifested it. It was gonna happen, right? I mean, come on, it's such a natural conclusion to that. Hopefully he's gonna get this year. It's just 1 year. It's probably gonna be this year. And hey, how you feeling? Kind of thing moving forward, which is awesome.
Hopefully,
it works for him and for us.
because he did have a good year last year.
He had 120 tackles.
Right, he didn't not have a bad year last year. He got lost in that how bad they were because everybody got
the
hurt.
Rams were just.
But he had a good year.
Overall,
he was good. Another one. It's so signing. Panthers go out and get another receiver in DJ Chark. He's had some okay games here and there. You think he's going to be the big receiver, and then he kind of falls away, and then he has a big game, and so what do you think? It's an okay signing, right? He's with him and Thielen. It's okay.
Yeah, no, actually, I think they have a decent group. He's more kind of the speedster guy still. Thielen more of your route runner. So it's a nice combination of a group of receivers. They could be good still.
Yeah, what do you think, Chuck?
I just really think that Carolina is throwing darts at this point. They are signing. It's a new team. It is. There nobody that was of purpose that last year is going to be here this year.
Well, your offensive line, your defense.
Okay, that's true. J.C. Horn is a young, good quarterback. Like, they still have Brian Burns on the edge.
Yes.
He's a stud. So, no, they do have some pieces.
And then their offensive line, they got a couple
in
pieces.
Kwanu, they went out, and then they signed another, I forget who else they tried to pair him with.
But they went out. They have some pieces on the offensive line that aren't bad. The offensive line isn't. It's been the quarterback play.
I guess I'm talking strictly skill position because then you're also saying that they moved up to get the draft pick at number 1, right? So whoever they draft there, in theory, is going to be the week 1 starter. They're not. They signed Andy Dalton, but he's a veteran.
But they signed Andy Dalton to 2 years
to tutor whoever's in front of him, whoever they draft,
or to start.
No way, right? We are not actually going to say that Andy Dalton is going to start over C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young.
I didn't say over either of those two.
Well,
who else are they drafting?
I feel is going to be the starter, and they got a nice variety of receivers.
Yeah, Zach, now you're just poking the bear, bro. You're coming with unjustified takes just to get me upset.
You see those? You see people put in their. I have not. You see people put in their mock drafts that Anthony Richardson's getting taken number 1.
Shut the front door.
You see it. You see it in people's mock drafts.
Boo.
I don't think so.
Bad mock drafts.
But I mean, you have Andy Dalton.
It's clickbait. That's clickbait. That is clickbait. There's not a shot in hell that he goes before number 5. There's
We'll talk about that in our draft segment. Let's keep rolling into. So Lamar, let's talk about him real quick. So it's
big news this week from Lamar's camp.
So he
which
asked
is just
for the
him.
trade on March 2nd, which was before
he was franchise tagged. Yes.
So that's kind of big. Yeah, what do you guys?
Well, that's big because he told the team. He said he basically tells the team at that moment, "I do not want to play. I don't want this tag. I know it's coming. So before you tag me, find a trade partner for me." And they probably just refused and said, "Absolutely not."
Yeah, it appears they're still trying to sign him, get a deal. I mean, the way his free agency's going, they're going to try and match and hope that they still have that connection, or he wants to come play with his players that he's been playing with. But I mean, some of that stuff just seems like he's already made up his mind.
I think he's out. I think he's either out or not playing. At this point, I think it's like the Ravens are like done. Like he is not playing in a Ravens jersey unless they'd have to literally throw the bat.
I was gonna ask, is he what, like 300 guaranteed or something like
crazy.
that?
I mean, you'd have to throw the bat.
I think it's
disrespect is real at this point. Like he is done. Like he's not putting that helmet back on. There's no way he's wearing that.
He's not gonna repair that at this point. I think what he has said has basically been the line in the sand.
Yep.
So
I think we're all in agreement that we'll see what happens there. Chuck, let's roll into the NFL rules. You had 3 of them that you picked out.
Man,
that you of. We agreed 2 of them. Me and Trev think 2 of them are nice. Chuck's kind of bigger on the 3rd one.
Not so much big. Just a little shout out. It's just cool that they're expanding things and they're loosening some things up. Every year the NFL visits a couple of different rules and different proposals are brought by different teams, and more often than not they vote down the absolutely asinine ones, or the ones that get thrown out there just for like, maybe what if, like, some different kick rules and like onside kicks, or
can we pause at the onside kick
15.
one? Do you guys like would you guys agree with the 4th and 25? It's your like 20 for
it was 4th. It was 4th and 20 to convert.
It's honest thoughts. Yes or no? Not a big conversation.
Nope, don't like it.
Trev?
I don't really care for it either.
I kind of like it. Oh no, it's kind of like it. Well, okay, keep going.
Do you just like it because it's different? No,
yeah,
I'm fine.
Yeah.
No, see, boo.
But then
change isn't always better.
But then you get the ball at my 25, so now I'm down by even more points, so I shouldn't have done it anyway. It's like literally
it's the do or die concept. I
correct.
Get it,
it's more like, I think that the percentage might not be. I don't know if the percentage is any higher on going for it on 4th. It might be if you have a good offense, but like if you're, I don't know. Like what do you? I kind of like it.
I mean, I could see that too. The probability being higher to convert.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Sorry, Chuck. I just wanted to know your guys' thoughts.
No, that's phony football. That'll never actually happen. That's going to get voted down every year.
I get
the ones that I do want to touch on. Okay, so we'll go from smallest to biggest, because then the last one will be a talking point. I like the idea that they're bringing back the number 0 just because the expansion of it is cool. Like, I just think it's neat that there's no reason to, block off numbers. 2 is you no longer have to challenge a close call on a 4th down.
I like this one. I agree.
That saves a lot of time.
No, not on all 4th and close.
Right.
It's got to be close.
Oh, I get you. Well, yeah, meaning close to the conversion.
Correct.
Like,
correct.
Yes. Yeah.
It's got to be close to conversion for it to be a review. Then you don't have to use your
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. That should be reviewed. That's a 4th down. That should always be reviewed.
If we're going to review every scoring play, which I
agree with as well.
Because in the refs, side note, all refs should call everything a touchdown when it gets that close, just so it can be reviewed anyways.
It's a safe play.
I like that idea.
It should be. It should just be, it's close. Okay, touchdown. Let's just go back and
review. Okay, it's always going to be reviewed. Right. So you can overturn it for sure.
But that was just a side note. But yeah, I do like the 4th and close. If you get close, because you never know. Maybe the knee is down and it's not a 4th. You don't. Or maybe you do get it. Or maybe you do get it. So
not having to use the challenge is the big thing, right?
Yes. Right.
So.
It should, just like the touchdown. It makes a huge impact in games.
Agreed. It certainly can. And then the last one, and it's impactful. So rule number 3, and it's going to create some chaos, and this is why we need to talk about this. Last year, they went down from 3 cuts to 2 cuts,
which I kind of liked.
Right. Because it does give you more flexibility with keeping some guys or trying them for another week kind of thing. But what they voted in this year is that there's 1 cut at the end of the preseason. You can keep all 90 up until the final cut. You're talking 37 dudes from every team on one day are going to get cut.
I'm not a big fan of it because I don't like that. So say you cut the first time. Let's say you got a bunch of receivers, right? And you cut some of your receivers the first cut. Well, some of those receivers might get picked up by a team that maybe has some injuries or their receiver core isn't good, just one position. But then these guys now that are all getting cut on one day don't get to get picked up by it's just a one big dump. How do you find stuff?
Yeah, no, it doesn't make a lot of sense. The way they had it before, it created a pool for teams to kind of get an idea of.
Right.
And now it's just going to be...
We're talking a shit show. You're talking hundreds of free agents literally all at once. Now, the idea is that they're not, they didn't find a home on one team. But how many times have we seen a guy get cut from somewhere and join onto another roster somewhere else and do something, right?
Right, just because you maybe fit that system better.
Right.
You could do running back wise.
Totally. Wide receiver, like you just mentioned, is a huge one for that.
Or we'll talk about later, in the draft, there's a difference between edges. Maybe you're not the 4-3, you fit the 3-4 because you're the stand-up linebacker.
Okay, sure.
There is differences on where you might fall or who you might relate better as a coach. So there is. So that first cut, I think, is kind of a big cut to let these guys maybe
it's going away.
Fall on. I know.
At least this year. The one thing about the NFL rule changes is every year when the new one gets voted in, it only lasts for 1 year. You have to make it permanent the following year. So it's always a trial base. This could...
That's great to know. Thank you.
Yes. So this could lead, if they are wow, this is chaos and people can't figure each other out and who's cut and who's made it and blah, blah, blah.
Right. These GMs are going to be if you want to pick somebody up, you're okay, who got dropped? Oh, shit, I have fucking 32 times 37.
Right.
It's going to pay to have a good agent because they're going to have to scramble.
Ooh, dude, yeah. They're going to... Highest bidder, for sure, is going to come knocking somewhere, right? Maybe the players might like it. I don't know, but...
Maybe that's something that was agreed on the CPI, but I don't know. I don't like it.
It's a very interesting thing. Keep your eye on that if you're an NFL fan because that could impact your team. Those 40 through 53 could be made up of those guys that get cut from other teams. It happens that way every year.
Yep. So we're going to take our first break. We're going to go get some new brewskis. We'll see you guys back here with some opening day baseball talk. We're going to pick our division winners. We're going to throw out a couple names to look for Cy Young, a couple names for MVP, and talk some baseball. Happy opening day, everybody.
All right.
Welcome back to Balls and Brews, Pot of 4, opening day.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys. That's a delicious beer. Chuck, what are we drinking?
Fall River is the brewery. Doesn't really have a name, but it is an Irish coffee stout. It honestly tastes like an Irish car bomb, you guys.
I love it. It's
A little bit heavier on the coffee than I remember. It does say that it has an espresso backbone, so that does make sense.
Yep.
You definitely get that.
I love the color, but when you drink it, it's got like such a light. It's not as heavy as the color you would have seen. You know what I'm saying? Like as dark as it is, it drinks really light.
Nice.
It's nice on the palate. Like I love it. It's one of my favorite beers to drink. It's on tap. If you can find it on tap, it is amazing.
It is canned. It is canned as a nitro, but trying a nitro on tap versus pouring it out of a can are two very different experiences for sure.
Yeah, these are quickly growing on me. Like this one and the Guinness one are like the two coffee beers that I've enjoyed so far. I've tried some other ones, but these two nail it.
I do love the coffee. Chuck's not a huge on the coffee as much as I am.
Correct.
I do love the coffee, but I do love how it's nitro and it just
Nitro
it's not
has
as
got
like
something to do
heavy.
with it.
Like you
I
know,
would
you
say
get some
it's
of
not
these,
overly aggressive, right?
right? You get some of those stouts. You know, I like it. Chuck,
Well,
we all like
it only drinks at 6%. And shout out, we always mention the city and states from Redding, California.
Right on the mountain. Right,
Yeah,
not too far away from
Redding isn't a big city, but Fall River does make a good brew. So shout out that way.
Yeah, I was actually able to visit Fall River in Petaluma. They got a brewery out there too.
Excellent.
Very nice.
No, we definitely are gonna be, like we said earlier, we shine a light on local stuff around here often. I know Redding isn't inherently local, but Cali, it's a neighbor.
Yes.
So shout out.
So let's jump into opening day. Hey, what's up, baseball? Let's get it. So if everybody remembers, the playoff format is 3 of the top division winners and 3 wild cards. So just remember that, everybody, as you're starting to watch. There's 3 wild cards now. So your team, it gives more teams a chance. I like it. What are your guys' thoughts on? Because it was last year too, but it's now permanent. So what are your guys' thoughts on the new playoff format starting off?
Yeah, I think I like the change as well. I think it's a good change. I like a lot of the new rule changes this year too. I hope to be watching a lot more baseball. I'm excited.
Yeah, baseball in general, that 4 teams making it into the playoffs, the playoffs were
Dude, it's so tight.
Yeah, I mean, I like the expansion to this makes sense. To 6 does make sense. It's still hard as all get out to make the playoffs at 6. Yeah, no. The MLB, even though they have the longest season, has the hardest playoff. And one thing, they don't mess around, bro. They don't mind playing back-to-backs. They get a 3-game series done in 3 days, dude. They're out here playing baseball. Like, it's not like some of these other playoff series.
So
where
the NBA we're about to jump into is going to take us the next 2 months. It doesn't get over until June, like the end of June.
Right.
So I mean, come on.
In that sense, MLB, I think they dial up a really good product, and I love, like Trevor was just very shined a light on all of the rule changes. Let's go ahead. I do want to we should talk about that.
Let's touch on them. So
yes.
Now you can't shift, which is going to be big for some of these left-handed hitters. So you have to have 2 infielders on each side of second base. So the infielders can switch. But if you get crazy, you can take your left fielder and put him over here in that hole. So you'd be giving up all left field.
Right.
It happened in preseason. A couple teams tried it. Whether it goes in a real game. But so that's supposed to open up the offense. So we'll see what happens there. The other rule changes are the bases are a little bit bigger. See, I don't know how much that differs. I don't really know why that's a rule. I don't know if that's a keep from guys' hands getting stepped on.
I was going to say, where would that have come from? Like, I didn't think that base size was ever an issue.
I'm not sure either. But then you got the pitch clock and the hitter's clock. So today is opening day. Rafael Devers, who's one of the better players in the league, he struck out today because he didn't get in the box. You only have so many seconds to get in the box. He didn't get in the box. Strike 3. Boom. Then you have a pitcher today also had a ball because he didn't throw in time. So when you get on the mound, you can't sit there and dilly-dally around. You have to have a certain amount of time to bring the ball to play as well. So those are some of the bigger rules that that got implemented this year. And it's already proven in preseason. They had stats already proven in preseason. The games are already half hour to 45 minutes shorter, if not an hour shorter in some instances.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's what gets me excited about baseball. Like the pace of play is picking up. the non-shifts will make it so it's not just strikeouts and home runs.
I just hope we can get back to that movement, like back in the day. Like, let me get more steals. Let me get some more hit and runs, meow. Like people moving around the bases is more exciting. I know that the home run's nice, but let's get some movement in baseball.
Small ball.
Not yet.
Singles,
Not yes.
doubles.
Yes, let's move guys around. And then you have your, power hitters that hit the ball out of the park.
Sure.
But let's get some movement. It keeps the game exciting.
No, and just to throw out a couple of scores here, you guys. Tampa Bay beat the Tigers 4-0. The Cubs beat the Brewers 4-0. Baltimore beat the Red Sox 10-9. That's a high-scoring game.
High scoring.
Yankees shut out your boys Giants over here.
I know.
Garrett Cole dominated.
5-0.
Garrett Cole dominated.
Watch
Yes, he
out.
did.
Watch
Look out.
dude.
He's a name on the Cy Young Award. He's a name up there.
Alright.
Garrett Cole's ERA gets a little too high for Cy Youngish, but his strikeouts are always going to be there. His inning pitch are always going to be
Braves over the Natties 7-2.
there. Braves, big pick.
Yeah,
pick.
I'm high on them with a lot of their roster coming back from last year that was hurt. The Mariners and the Guardians are tied 0-0 right now, middle of the fourth. We got a 2-2 tie in LA with the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. 0-0 tie with the Angels and the A's.
Shohei.
Good old AL West.
Shohei's tossing tonight.
Okay, so that's probably going to remain a 0 then for Oakland.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No faith.
Why does the worst team have to have the best unis? Why do they have to look the best while they suck the
That
most?
is a sweet logo. The elephant
It is a
with the
sweet
glasses
logo.
on.
It's a sweet logo.
Colors are awesome. Team sucks. Okay, so if you guys don't remember, we're going to talk about some different offseason moves you might forget. So Justin Verlander just went on the IL today, but he's pitching for the Mets now, you guys. He's not with the Astros anymore.
How old is he now?
He's
37?
in his no. I think you're gonna have to Google. I think he's in maybe the 4-0.
Man.
I think he's because
I know-
last year he had a really
a
great
year. Yes, he sure did.
I think did he win Cy Young last year too?
No, but he was in consideration.
So he was right there for that. So
Right.
I mean, he's up there, but still throwing. But it's not they say minor injury. It's something to do with a muscle, not the rotator.
Throwing?
Yes, on the shoulder. So they're holding him back. So just remember, he's a Met now. But the Mets lost Jacob deGrom. He's a Ranger. So he went down there to play with the Rangers. So the Rangers maybe have something.
I
don't
hope
know.
not, do they?
Corey Seager playing shortstop. Marcus Semien playing second. You got Jacob deGrom on the hill. They got some other pieces around. So I don't know if they're going to make noise. We'll talk about it later. Trey Turner's a Philly. No longer a Dodger. Trey Turner is the
That
man.
could be huge. That could be huge. I
Yep,
forgot
Trey
they
Turner.
threw the bag at that guy.
Jose Abreu. No longer a White Sox. He's been winning batting titles there forever. He is now an Astro. Rich, get richer, as we said.
Boo,
on the
boo
last
Astros,
podcast.
boo.
Yeah, I don't think there's very many Astro
Boo
fans
Astros,
sitting in this
boo.
room. Dansby Swanson, he was a longtime shortstop for the for the Braves. He is now playing for the Cubs. So Cubs start making some moves.
Cubbies.
See if they can start. They also have a pitcher who had the pitch on the ball today because he didn't throw. So that's who had the ball today was from the Cubs. He didn't pitch in time. Stood there, was looking around, didn't throw ball. So another one of those
Adjustments
you
I
gotta
mean, come
make.
on, dude. How hard is it to throw a fucking pitch within 10 seconds, right? Is a 10-second clock for the pitch count as well?
I think so.
Come on. Throw the ball.
And then you got Xander Bogaerts went to the Padres. So the Padres loading up over there.
Padres are loaded.
That infield is nasty from first to third. They got Tatis is now going to be out in center or left.
Is he healthy?
Yeah,
He's
coming
back, right?
back.
Okay.
That team
okay.
is just loaded from top to bottom. The pitching staff.
They still have Machado.
Yep.
And,
He had a great year last
did.
year.
He did.
He's one of the top players in the league.
Can we talk about how ugly their uniforms are? Good God, man! That
You don't like the-
brown
you don't
and-
like the
nah,
pinstripes?
That shit's got to grow with the brown and the sand and the yellow and the whatever. Padres, that is bad. Go back to the swinging Padre. That thing was awesome. With the throwback brown is fine.
Chuck's
with,
wrong.
with the white,
Let's leave it now.
Go back to the
Other one.
Padres. Go back to it. The blue and white Tony Gwynn. Go back to that.
Carlos Correa was a Giant for a day, and then he was a Met for a day, and then he was back a Twin. So he
That's
didn't really
physical,
change teams,
bro.
but he was on 3 different teams, I think, or 2 different teams at one point. So I mean, we don't really know what's going on.
a Giant for a day.
Yeah.
So I mean, so there was the Carlos Correa situation.
That did happen.
Um,
that did happen.
The Braves got a little bit richer from my A's. They took Sean Murphy, who's a Gold Glove catcher. So just
Why
Rich get
don't
richer.
the A's ever retain talent? Even if it's on a cheap deal, they dish them off sometimes.
Yeah, and then Carlos Rodon left the Giants and went to the Yankees, which is a big move because that kind of upped the Yankees pitching staff a little bit.
That's right.
I still don't know if they're going to be my division winner in that East, but just some names to think about that have moved. Any names up there that pop to you guys that think that, man, that's changing? Like, that's changing somebody's, like, fortune.
Dude, I think, honestly, the one that you named was Trey Turner to the Phillies. They went to the World Series last year and were up 2-1 before they ended up blowing the series after that. But, like, picking up a guy who's amazing in the infield and at bat is always a bonus. Bryce Harper is going to continue to push that team forward, so... that NL East, I do think the Mets are going to... They went out and they made Edwin Diaz. Losing Edwin Diaz, unfortunately, in the World Baseball Classic is unfortunate.
Justin Verlander's going to hurt. See how long he's out.
And that could linger. Who knows? You hope that it's a handful of days to weeks, maybe, kind of thing. But, like, unfortunately, when you talk about a pitcher who's rounding out towards the 4-0 mark, that arm has thrown millions of pitches, man. Like the fact that
he had a good year last year too.
I know it's bonkers. I'm not saying that he father time
and
catches up to all.
And Scherzer's not that young either. He's
absolutely
he's about 35
not.
too. I think he might be 37.
Yeah.
So both of their aces are older dudes. Edwin Diaz going down. You know, I kind of had him as one of my question wild card teams. I think the Verlander thing today might have changed that pick, but
sure,
just because. You start losing those games early in the year, you think 162 maybe, but when you're at the end of the year and you lose so many games because you have one ace and nothing else after that,
sure,
you're in trouble. I mean, they have a couple other pieces back there, but nothing like Verlander goes down. That's a huge. I mean, when he's winning, 16 games, if he gives them 16 games, that's a huge.
That's big. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
huge. So I think that's a huge move. So let's get into it. We're gonna pick teams. Don't bet on this.
Clearly our actual picks have been awful.
But we are going to pick our division winners. We're going to pick wild cards. And then we're going to go into who we think is going to play for the AL and NL for the chip,
baby.
And then we're going to pick the chip. So, Chuck, why don't you start with who you got? Let's go AL East, AL Central, AL West.
You want my AL picks? Okay.
Yep, and then we'll all do ours.
All right. So, AL, you guys,
I'm interested. I want to see.
The Central is Cleveland. I don't trust a lot of the AL Central, to be fair. I don't think the Royals are going to do much. I don't think that there's a lot of contention. The Guardians there. In the East, that's a toss up. I was just informed that my pick is Boo Boo.
Tell them who your pick was.
You want to know who my pick was? Because this is how it always works. You think that the team that's going to suck is going to suck. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't.
You might be right, Chuck.
And it might be right because this team never sucks 2 years in a row. It's the Boston Red Sox. They're supposed to be boo-boo. Watch them come out and spank some folks. They just might. That's my pick. You know what? I'm sticking with it.
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They might be 60 games under 500 by the end of the season.
Do you have anybody else out of that division?
Oh yeah, no. I actually have 2 wild cards for the AL East as well, but we'll get into that when we get into the wild card choices. My AL West, I hate this, you guys. I hate this because it's the Astros. That roster is fucking loaded.
Still is. Even with Altuve going down, dude, it still
doesn't matter. They have,
and they lost Verlander. Still
right, but it doesn't matter. They still have, dude. Unfortunately, I watched a lot of Astro baseball, playoff baseball, and they are built.
Dude, they did it the right way. Like, I mean, not the cheating isn't the right way, but they have their minor league system is they did it. They built their minor league system. They are bringing guys up as they're losing guys. They are doing it.
That's why they're my AL West champions, you guys. I wanted to put the Mariners in there.
I did too, but I couldn't.
Bad.
I couldn't do it.
It's not. If that is the one, if there's one thing you can put your money on, I would agree. And I'm sure they're the heavy favorites too.
They are the heavy favorites.
They have to be.
I think they're the heavy favorites.
I would say maybe even coming out of the AL period. Correct. Yeah, sure. Okay, so I mean. Those are my AL. Do you want my wild cards?
No, let's do. So, Trev, what's your picks for the ALs?
I mean, I kind of liked the way we're starting with the Central. I mean, I think that's clear cut.
I do too. I don't know. I started looking at the White Sox roster. They added Clevenger, which is big. It gives them that other starter. I don't know. I think a lot of people are downplaying the White Sox.
Okay.
I'm a little higher on the White Sox than a lot of people. We'll talk about that later. But yes, I think the Indians.
Yeah,
but
the Guardians.
Talking about somebody getting hurt, forgot to mention this. Oh yeah, the Guardians. Sorry,
Gotcha.
McKenzie, they're one of their up and coming pitchers. He throws hard. He's done for 2 weeks throwing and done for 8 weeks pitching. So that's a huge starter right there, losing. So the Indians are losing.
So that's a big deal.
So the Indians are losing somebody. We just talked about how Verlander could upset. So,
I mean, yeah, I think the Guardians do have the best roster in the Central. It seems like theirs to lose, pretty much. I think we're all in kind of agreement there.
I do too.
To move it over to the East, like last season, it came down between the Jays and the Yankees. Not a Yankees fan, so I kind of lean Jays there.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. he's a good story.
I do, yeah. Vlad Jr., yeah.
That whole team is. I
like some of their players more, so I'm pulling for them. Definitely.
Oh, but shit.
Dude, he's sick.
There's some good talent up in Toronto.
And then again with the AL West, like the Astros just have the best built team probably in the AL, so that's why they're the favorites. Yeah.
So I think we're in agreement. Actually, although me and Trevor in agreement. Or did you pick Blue Jays too? No, you had Red Sox. So me and Trevor complete agreement. Guardians Central, Blue Jays East, Astros West. I think I'm a huge Blue Jays fan at this point. I think they are ready to pop, and I think this is the year. Wild card wise, I'm saying that each division gets one. I was tossing back and forth of the East getting two, but I went Yankees in the East. I went White Sox. I'm bigger on the White Sox than most people, and then I went Mariners in the West. That's my wild card for the AL.
Mine's sort of similar. Definitely Yankees, I think, are the next best like non-division winner. And then after that, I think it gets a little choppier.
That's why I like the expansion, though, right?
I do too, because it's not the four. You give the other guys.
Right.
Like, dude, I love it. I love it.
That's why that expansion matters.
It's huge.
Like Seattle seems like they should be, I think, the wild card winner in the West. If DeGrom can stay healthy, the Rangers might surprise.
I see. I was kind of there with you too. Like you have that Tampa.
There's always
and
one.
The Twins are
There's
kind of in that
one.
like realm too. Like dude, it could take an injury and it could take a rookie to pop.
True, and like I'm probably not as high on the White Sox.
Yeah, I think
I probably might lean Tampa a little bit more there for my other wild card. But I don't. They just are that team.
They always seem to be, right?
Yeah, that's the only reason that I'm picking them.
Yeah.
What about you, Chuck?
ALs. Shout out to the M's. Let's go. Look, all right, if Houston wasn't as thick as they are, I would ride the hype train in Seattle all the way to the station, y'all. Like, that team, see us rise, yeah. Like, I want it so bad. Like, okay, we got to the playoffs, and we didn't score a fucking run in our closeout game. We played 18 innings. I watched an 18-inning Mariner game where we lost 1-0.
It hurts, but I love it.
Oof. The Stros, man. We were almost there. We almost had them. But okay, so that's the Mariners coming out of the AL West. Then the other two go to the AL East for me. It's the Yankees, and honestly, you guys, the Orioles. They were pushing at the end of last year.
So you don't have the Blue Jays making the playoffs?
I do not.
Wow.
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. I don't care.
No, you're good. No, you're good.
Yeah.
I'm
I don't
could
have the
play out
reason
that
either.
way.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah.
It might. You don't know.
I don't.
Yeah, awesome.
I think that, you know, I think that even though the Blue Jays do have a talented roster, that the AL East in general can be within a handful of games of each other. I don't think that there's going to be a clear runaway regardless of any of these teams outside of. I think the Yankees are kind of the most dependable, if you will.
I think my worry or my thing with the Yankees, I started looking like at the pitching staff because it's always been that.
Sure.
So it's been Garrett Cole, but this year they went and got Carlos Rodon from the Giants, which hurts Trev's team. Sorry, Trev. But then they have they have a couple other guys that have stepped up. Luis Severino is starting the division on the IL, and you got Nestor Cortez who finished second in the AL MVP voting and Cy Young voting, AL Cy Young voting. So you have a couple other dudes. So the Yankees, I think. I as I started looking, I almost put them first. I did, but my faith
You're
in some of these.
on the Jays.
My faith. We'll talk about it when we talk MVP. My faith in the Jays is, I'm riding a lot in some of these young guys, and this is the year they come out and it's popping, and it's the way they ended the season because they ended it hot, just like you did, just like you said with the O's. The Jays ended hot too.
Right?
So
no, they did.
So that's what I'm going on. So let's jump right in the NL. I think the NL.
I want your picks.
Oh,
you go first.
NL division winners.
Yep.
I'm going division winners. Atlanta.
Okay.
Because Atlanta, I think they're a better built, all around season team. They aren't. Yeah, we'll get into it later. And then next is Central Cardinals. I think Cardinals are winning that division. They have easily the best 1-2 combo in Goldschmidt and Arenado at the corners.
Goldschmidt, it can just
each of them are hitting over 300. Arenado is Gold Glove of like 13 years in a row.
Real Muto,
he's one of my
catcher, legit.
No, he's a Philly catcher.
I'm so sorry.
So you have really good pieces there, and I don't know how strong the rest of that division is. The Brewers, I think, have one of the best pitchers, and they always kind of seem to be around like the Rays do. So, but I just don't think they get over the hump. And then the West, I'm going the Padres. My boy Bob Melvin down there coaching is going to take the Padres of the hump. I mean, look at the way that roster built. You have Juan Soto on right, Machado. You have Bogarts now at shortstop. People remember he's at Port. Tatis is out in center. You got the kid Kim, who has like a stud at shortstop last year. He has one of the strongest arms. He throws like 100 from short. He's now at second. He's a stud. So you're rich right now. The Padres are talent rich. Now it just depends if they stay healthy, if they all play good. They're my pick. So who's next?
I'll jump in. I'm gonna just piggyback kind of off of that too. At the West, like Padres spent that money, and
I'm thinking it's working.
That team looks nice. If they stay healthy, they are a scary team. They overtook the Dodgers last year. And I think
that was a great series, by the way.
And I think the Dodgers lost a little bit. They didn't.
Yeah, I feel like they might take a little step back.
So they lost their second. Talking about injuries, they lost their second baseman Gavin Lux in preseason to a blown ACL. So that's another player that not World Baseball Classic injury, preseason injury.
What's the difference?
Exactly.
No, it's that narrative. Boo that narrative.
Yeah, and my Giants, no better than third, and we'll be lucky to get third, I think, at that point. Anyways, Central, it's all about the Cardinals, too. Like, they've been the team in the Central for a while. I mean, the other teams have popped up, but they've been consistent.
Isn't that the team if you were up and coming like a player, wouldn't you be like, I just want to go play for the Cardinals?
You got to feel pretty good about it.
Like if I go play for the Cardinals, I got a good shot to be in the playoffs all the time. Don't they always seem to be?
You never hear anything negative about that franchise
since we've been like alive, right? Like they've always been relevant for that. Like I would be like, I'll go play for the Cardinals any day of the week. Sorry, Trav, keep going.
You serve a great point. No, I think that in the NL is my lesser known, league, if you will. I prefer the AL. I love that they have caught up to each other and that they both do the DH and that they've gotten rid of the, or that they make a permanent DH. There's not that the hitter in the NL. And anyway,
I do agree with that, Chuck. We're gonna hear some flack on that. You comment on below. I know you're gonna give us some flack. I know you people love some of that pitch and hitting. Nobody wants a pitcher hitting. Sit down.
No, you're right. Yeah,
Tucker Thomas. Don't even comment. We don't want you commenting. We don't want the pitcher
commenting. I mean,
the pitcher doesn't get to hit. The pitcher doesn't get to hit.
It'd be such an advantage.
And then who you got in the East, Trev? Who you got in the East?
To get back to that, the East, I also like the Braves. I do agree with Zach. That team is built right. Like, they seem like... I mean, the Phillies are right there, and the Mets are right there, too. But I still lean Braves.
All right, Chuck, call them off.
All right, NL West. You guys have both called the Padres, and as I've listened to you break down the roster, it makes a lot of sense why you lean that way. But I wrote down the city that bleeds blue, the Dodgers.
It's. I mean, it's. How can you doubt? How can you doubt?
They've been just an absolute monster over the last decade, and yes, they've lost some. Don't get me wrong, but that ownership group, I guarantee you, if there's a move to be made, if there's a player that gets dangled out there, the Dodgers have no problem taking a shot.
The show, I read a report today
really?
that he's linked to them for over $600 million.
Woofa. I mean,
that's going to be interesting come trade deadline.
Trade deadline. So August. That's what Jeff Passan said today. Shout out on Dan Patrick's show. Jeff Passan said today that August 1st trade deadline would be interesting with Shohei if the Angels were bad.
Game changer.
Because you could get. How much can you get for him? You should be able to get the world, right? Like, I want like 70 first-round picks. Like, I'm probably not that many, but you can get a ton of stuff for show, right?
Fuck yes.
So, I mean, you're getting a pitcher and a hitter. You're not just getting one. You're getting two different dudes, basically. So you should be able to get each for one.
Okay, so then that proves my point in the idea that, like, if the Dodgers come out and they don't, if that roster does not succeed, they will change it.
I like your reasoning.
So yes, no, that I think San Diego is an absolutely powerful team, and there is no reason why they couldn't push or absolutely take over that division crown. They are a wild card of mine. The Central got cards written down here for the exact reasons that they just pointed out. The Brewers as well, for some reason, are a team that they always just kind of move those 1-2s and they're the Brewers are close. They can always make a run, but the Cardinals are going to win the division. They are. And then in the East, the Braves, we've all hyped them up, but I got the Mets taking the NL East. I do have the Braves in my wild card, so it's not to say that I don't dislike that team. I just think that the Mets, the Verlander news, unfortunately, I wrote this down before the Verlander news happened. That does change a little stuff, but I think that there's a lot of talent on the Mets. I think the expectations are high. I think that with the Phillies, I know that you're high on the Phillies, and there's a lot of talent there. The NL East is something to watch. The East in general, both Easts, are gonna be. Beasts.
I would even consider both West very good as well. I would
Which
say
is
your
nice.
Centrals are very down. I would say that because you could argue, like Trev said, you could argue that the Rangers, if DeGrom stays healthy and a couple other pieces pop, you could argue that they make a 3-push too.
They could also, there's always that one team.
I know that the Giants are down this year, but the NL West is usually a strong division as well. So
they're gonna have two of the better competitors in LA and San Diego. So
wild cards. I'll start it. I'm gonna go Dodgers are my wild card. I don't have them win the division, but they are the wild card. I'm not picking anybody else out of that division. I was
the
thinking
Rockies are bad.
I was thinking the Brewers weren't, but I think the injury to Verlander, him being out that many games, I think the Brewers sneak in and end up taking
the Mets. Okay.
Yep. So the Brewers, I have to win in the wild card, in the Central being the last team, being that 6th seed, but I have the Phillies being the best. I have the Phillies being the best wild card team, and them being my last wild card, or being the East wild card.
I agree with you as far as the West goes. The Dodgers, I think we probably all do, since we had them winning. That they're
not
the other team in the West. They're not
missing the
missing.
playoffs.
It's just whether or not
they're definitely one of the better teams in the NL. They'll get in.
Yeah.
Central, nope. I'm going East for both my wild cards.
Okay.
Phillies and Mets, I think, both get in.
Okay.
That's
Like
good.
you, Chuck.
No, I respect that because I do have the Mets. I have Braves. There's no way they don't make it. The Braves, Dodgers, and Padres are making the playoffs in one way or another.
I think that's an agreement. I think we agree that the Braves, Dodgers, Padres, and Cardinals are making the playoffs.
Yes, yeah.
It's
so
just,
that's 4 out of 6. That's pretty crazy.
So so our agreements? I have the Brewers. So
hold on,
you run through your stuff. You run through your stuff.
I do have the Brewers.
Oh, okay.
Because then I had I have the Padres in the wild card because I had LA winning.
And then your East was the
Mets.
So you have the Phillies not making the playoffs.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Last year's champ.
Shockers, right? So
could happen.
Everything could happen in baseball. We've seen crazy shit happen.
162 games, y'all.
So out of that, I have. It took a lot of. I wanted. Astros. Everybody's picking. Everybody's picking the Astros out
For the AL.
I'm going to go to the Blue Jays. I'm going to ride the Toronto Blue Jays to win the AL.
Why?
I love the young talent. I think it's popping. I think Guerrero's going off. I actually have him when we go into our MLB POC. I have him winning the MVP.
Ooh.
I think Vladdy's winning the MVP. Blue Jays taking it this year in the AL. They are going to run into, and I had a hard time. It's coming out of the East. I've been tossing the Braves and Phillies back since I've been doing this. I couldn't come up with it. Trey Turner gets a game-winning hit and takes the Phillies to the AL East champion, or is the NL champion into the World Series, and the Phillies win the World Series. That's my picks.
That's your picks. All right. For my picks, I want to pick. I want to pick the Blue Jays. I do. I like that team.
He doesn't.
But my head is telling me it's going to be the Astros.
I know.
I don't like
champs.
it. I don't like it.
But we've talked how stacked they are.
They didn't get worse this season. They didn't. So if you're already the defending champions and you got relatively better, like, I get it.
Man, and then in the NL, man, I was having a lot harder time.
I agree.
It's a hard. I think the NL's hard.
Which is fun.
I could see it going so many different ways in the NL.
It makes it so exciting. I'm so happy.
Man, I'm flip-flopping even now.
Come on, Trev.
Gosh.
We need the picks.
I know. I mean, it doesn't seem...
Astros v...
I'm going to go San Diego.
Pods.
And then who you winning it? San Diego or Astros? That's a nice pick. West.
That would move some units, dude.
I'm hoping San Diego.
Okay.
That's more, I think, a pick with my heart than my head. The Astros is definitely more of a head pick. But I'm pulling for, I think.
Okay, so Trev's going Padres. Everybody right there. All right, Chuck.
Alright, guys. I have changed. I have flippity-floppity.
It's a hard
choice. No, okay, so... I'm getting out in front of this now. I'm
picking
telling
with your heart or your head, Chuck.
It's certainly my heart. You know what? I
Heart
don't care.
heart,
I don't care.
Okay, it's okay.
I don't care.
Lay it out.
AL, Mariners.
Okay.
Mariners. Let's fucking go, Mariners.
You got, dude. I got you guys. I have you guys down for an MVP and an MVP candidate and a Cy Young candidate.
We have never made it. We are the only team in MLB history to have never made an appearance in a World Series. Not win one, but an appearance. So, you guys, it's picking with my heart. It is.
Okay.
So
fair game. Mariners.
NL is good. I think the Braves. I think Acuna is gonna come back. I think that team.
Olsen.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of talent there. Even though we've been talking about the NL East in general, I did pick the Mets to win the division, which is funny that I picked the wild card to go to the World Series. But I do think that that's how that's gonna happen. I think that.
And then who's winning? Are you picking the Mariners to win?
Oh my God, I know, right? Like I
Just
have to
say
at
it.
this point.
Yeah, you got
I have
to now.
I have to. Mariners. I have to.
Okay.
Mariners. I have to. There's no way that I'm putting them in the position to win a chip and then not winning the chip.
We will totally revisit these picks at the All-Star break and see how logistic we are at these picks. But we will revisit these picks. This is good. We have everybody's different. We all can agree that the Astros probably are the pick coming out.
Oh man!
Head wise, are we all like head? Because I went up.
If I had $100 million to bet, it would be on the Astros.
I think it's
like
it's hard not to. So you jump into some of these MVP talks. You got Ohtani and Judge. Trout are always the big names up
the
there.
regulars.
Julio, I think sneaking in, Chuck. I don't know if he's going to win it. He's going to sneak in. Julio's going to sneak into those talks.
If he takes that another step,
he's a stud. He
had a great rookie season.
He's got to finish.
Sure.
He had a little, but that's just being the rookie. It's like you don't expect that 162 is a long day. I mean, that's a long time.
The craziest thing about the MLB was we literally gave him a contract extension.
Everybody's doing that. It's a new thing. You see all these guys getting contract extensions at the beginning.
As soon as they pop, you give them the bag.
My pick. Vlad Guerrero, that's my pick, boys. And then one of the other names I wrote down, which I don't think he can win it because he doesn't play defense, is Jordan Alvarez for the Astros. He's going to have he's going to have a great ERA. Or not an ERA. He's going to have a great average. He's going to have a great RBIs. He's going to have 30-plus bombs, maybe get in that 40 range. But he plays left here and there. He's mostly the DH. I don't think you can win an MVP if you're not out on the field. I think you got to contribute.
Has that ever happened? Has DH ever won MVP?
I don't think so. I don't think when you got to think like maybe a David Ortiz would have to be one of them, or Edgar did it. I don't think those would be the only two that I can think of.
My boy Martinez.
I got you, Shout. I got you, Shout.
Yes, sir.
What do you think on those names? Do you guys have any other names you think? Ohtani, we can say is like when Jordan was in basketball. How can't he be the MVP every year? But I don't know. I could vote. If Ohtani shells on both sides, he should be the MVP every year. He should have been the MVP last year. So, what are your guys' thoughts MVP wise?
Man, I would say in the AL it's top heavy. You're gonna look at the regular guys that you've been staring at. Like I don't know if there's anybody on Cleveland that pops out to me. I don't know if there's.
Jose Ramirez maybe, but he's got to have.
That's true.
He's got to shell out the third baseman. He's got to shell out to be even in those talks.
Okay, so there you go. So then, we're looking at what maybe Alvarez in Houston. I hate referencing another Astro, but I remember that guy absolutely balling at the end of last year. I want to say Julio. My shout out to my boy right there. He can make a run. Judge, his expectations are super high.
So talking about Judge real quick, do you guys think he hits 50 plus again?
Yes, 50. Yes.
You think he gets to 60?
No.
I think he's 45, 50 plus. I think so. I think it'd be so badass for him to hit 55.
Yeah, I don't think there's been a player that's done that.
Not after Sosa or anything like that.
Yeah, not including the steroid.
But I think that'd be so badass for baseball. Sorry, Chuck, you said it, and then I just thought.
Let him geek.
Yeah,
let him geek.
Fuck,
man. Do you know how hard it is to hit that goddamn ball? Let him be strong as fuck. It doesn't increase hand-eye coordination. It was the best era of baseball. Tell me we're wrong.
I don't know if it was the best era of baseball, but
okay.
It's exciting.
I think one of my favorite players, if not my favorite player, played during that era and helped bring baseball back from the '94 strike. But I don't know they were still cheating.
Not if everybody's doing it, bro.
Well, and they let them do it too, which is
that for a long time they did too. Yep,
they knew they were. Yeah, I know. It brought baseball back. They should be like.
That's why they
Sammy Sosa, McGuire.
But
they brought it back.
Such a numbers game. It's also a shame.
Correct, because it is such a huge numbers game. Everything's based on numbers for that game. Everything.
Analytic. They invented the word analytics in
sports. Ball, baby.
Yeah.
No. If you can read that book, read it. It's a really good book. It gets a little deep with some of the mathematics, but it's a really good book. If you're a baseball fan, read that book. It is a very good book.
All right.
So what are you thinking, Chuck? Are you picking one of the big dogs?
Yeah, for the yes, yeah. For the AL, I do. I don't want to go homer. I don't want to say it's going to be. I honestly think Vladdy could make a push like you had talked about for the AL. He absolutely could. That's wide open. I'm not going to give an opinion here. I'm not going to give an AL MVP.
All right.
I'm not going to do
Trevor, are you going to throw one out? Or are you going to make...
I mean, I just
go... Table?
I just lean Shohei. I know it's the easy pick. I can't help it. Man, that is a bad man.
I like it, Trevor. I think he might be too. I just wanted to throw out the... I was more throwing out more of a crazy pick. I think Show probably is. If he stays healthy, how can't he be?
Could he win an AL MVP and an AL Cy Young?
He could.
Wow.
That'd be
it could be tough.
Shut it down. Shut it down.
Dude, that'd be like dude, that'd be so awesome.
I'd love to see it.
That'd be so awesome.
That would be probably the biggest single season accomplishment we've that's ever happened. I don't know if there's ever a bigger one that you could. Biggest of the and because they're opposing.
Did Ichiro win the MVP and the Rookie of the Year?
Yes.
That's
yeah, that's the only time it's ever happened. Yeah, that is crazy. That's it. Yeah, but it still pales in comparison to the idea of getting a Cy Young and then also based off of not your pitching stats but your offensive stats.
Yes, very much.
The AL MVP.
Very much.
That's just inconceivable.
So let's jump in since Chuck doesn't want to pick a MVP.
I'm sorry, you guys.
Let's jump into an NL MVP. We'll see if he decides to throw out a name here.
I might.
Big names: Juan Soto for the Padres, Mookie Betts for the Dodgers, Acuna, Chuck named for the Padres. You got Machado again for the Padres, or the Braves. Sorry, yes, thank you, Braves. Machado for the Padres. I have Arenado on here with the Cardinals and Goldschmidt with the Cardinals. My pick though is my last name. Trey Turner with the Phillies. I think he wins the MVP. I think he was overshadowed last year with the Dodgers from Freeman and from Mookie. I think he's going to light it up in with Philly. I have them winning or losing or winning the chip.
I was going to say
I have them winning the chip, so I think he's I think he's the big reason why Trey Turner is my NL MVP.
I really like that pick. Like, the Padres got a couple names on there, and I think that might take away from their chances of getting that award. So, I kind of lean that way too, Z. I find myself following you in the Trey Turner for the MVP.
Sorry, kick table. I do also like how he came off the World Baseball Classic too. I mean, he was hot on the Classic. Chuck, what's your? Do you have
Acuna Jr.? Let's go.
I like that pick, dude.
We're putting it on wax right now. I'm sorry, it's flimsy for the AL, but I really like it. I didn't have a definitive no. Acuna, I'm gonna back. I think that kid, an ACL is never easy to come back from. He was, in and out of things over the last year and a half, but I think that if he's healthy and he shows out, he could absolutely push the Braves to another level.
I totally agree.
Fingers crossed. I like seeing young talent make noise, especially when it's homegrown. You're stuck by him. You trust the process. That's the Embiid motto, if you will. So, shout out to that. That's
they got a lot of young talent over there in Atlanta.
They just won the chip 2 years ago, so it's not to say that they can't find a way to get back there.
So, Cy Young wise, I wrote down just a couple names. Shout out to another Mariner, Luis Castillo. I think he's got a real shot. I think he's a stud.
Great acquisition for us last year.
It's one of the only pitchers that I think I'd get ready to get traded that had a bigger WAR than a position player. What he did last year for you guys coming in and just being the shutdown pitcher was amazing.
He was.
I also wrote down Framer Valdez for the Astros. He threw tonight. He's so nasty. So nasty when he throws. You got Garrett Cole too. He's big. You got Dylan Cease for the White Sox. White Sox got a couple, I think, sneaky picks. But I think that one of those first two that I named, Valdez or Castillo, both coming out of the West for the Cy Young.
Yeah, I probably lean Valdez. I'm kind of rooting for Castillo though.
Let's go. He got him from Cincinnati at the trade deadline last year. And
huge move.
He dealed his ass off. It was not
Did you guys sign him to an extension by chance?
Did.
You know?
We
Good
gave
call.
him money. No, absolutely. Unfortunately, it was Robbie Ray, man. I watched every.
I know because
every
he was
Mariner baseball.
Dude, he came from
the Blue
he came
Jays.
from the no he.
After winning the Cy Young.
Was it the Blue Jays or was it
the Jays?
I thought it was the Rays for some reason.
No, it was the Jays. He plays with them previously, but it was the Jays. Yeah. And then,
he won the Cy Young, came over. That was a huge signing, too.
You're right. He was supposed to be, and he gave up all these fucking home runs in the playoffs.
And then he did. NL Cy Young, I think you got Corbin Burns and Sandy. I'm not going to try to say your last name with the Marlins. 2 studs. Absolute 2 studs. Sandy last year had the most innings pitched. He's an absolute workhorse, and Corbin Burns is an absolute workhorse as well. You have a couple young guys for the Braves, Spencer Strider, but Max Fried, he got hurt tonight. He's going on the DL, hurt a hamstring. Right. We saw it before we came on, so that hurts. Padres have some good pitching, but I don't know if any of them are like straight Cy Youngs. Any opinions on the Cy Youngs in the NL?
I mean, I kind of go Spencer there. I know that's probably not the head pick, but the Braves, they were the team that I was kind of neck and neck with the Padres in the NL, and I think he's going to have a heavy impact for them.
I like it.
What you, Chuck?
You guys, the reason why the Mets are going to win the NL East is because Max Scherzer is going to be
great call.
Dealing.
I can't believe I didn't mention him.
Dealing.
I can't believe I didn't mention him. Great call.
You mentioned, unfortunately, he's creeping up there in age, but if we just watch Verlander wheel and deal at late 30s, Scherzer can do it in his mid 30s. Guys, he got incredible movement on his ball still. Super hard to predict. I think that he is probably somebody that I would like to pay attention to for the NL Cy Young. That's the direction I'm gonna go.
Yep, I forgot to mention since you mentioned Max, I've heard mention Aaron Nola too for the Phillies. He was up there last year too.
That's right, I remember.
He's another guy that's gonna have a big impact. Zach Wheeler maybe too at the Phillies, which might be the reason you don't get that guy. They're kind of like the Padres, where
they cannibalize themselves.
Yeah, they're not quite the ace. Where they're gonna be. They're aces, but they're not quite the studs that those other guys we talked about are. So those are our picks for the baseball. We're going to get another beer and come back with our fandom. I hope everybody loves what we do with the fandom, but let us know your picks for MVPs, your picks for Cy Youngs, and give us about what you think about our picks for the divisions. Chuck over here going a little sideways with some of his, but that's all right. Everybody's got their opinions.
You know what?
Team surprise every season.
If we learn anything from March Madness, don't let them know your next move. All right. It was a great MLB cap. We got a lot of MLB in front of us. We'll be highlighting games throughout the rest of the upcoming season, so look out for that. Let's go get those beers, gentlemen.
Yes.
All right, welcome back to Balls and Brews. We're going to jump right into Fandom, one of our favorite segments.
This is the favorite segment, and I'm going to go ahead and take lead here, you guys.
Take it, Chuck.
All right, so I've been thinking, or also, with the NBA playoffs coming up, okay, I have a real bone to pick here. I think that we've all talked about kind of going in an aggressive manner in our fandom, and I'm going to go ahead and just set the pace right now. I don't like when 2/3 of a league makes the playoffs. That is way too goddamn many teams to justify a playoff. 66% of the entire league gets into the playoffs. That is unacceptable. That is too many. We don't need play-in tournaments. It's okay to set it. Even 8 was too many if you think about it. 16 out of 30 is still over half. That's absurd. I gave a comment earlier to Downey about how the MLB playoffs are so, the mystique or getting into the playoffs there is so valued because it's so hard. You have to be good all year. You have, and now it's expanded to 6, so that's 12. That's 12 out of 30 teams. Take note, NBA. You guys expanded. You went from 16 to 20. Unacceptable. It really is. And then let me compound on top of that. The next thing is the first round series should not be 7 goddamn games. It should not. Honestly, it should go 3-5-7-7. The first round should be 3, the second round should be 5, then the conference finals should be 7, and then finals should be 7.
I think it should be 5 and then 7, finals.
3, 5, 7, 7.
I'd still be better.
I don't like 7 at the beginning, but I like.
You don't need a 1-8 matchup at 7 games. You do not need that. That is bad basketball at that point. Yes, upsets do happen, but come on, you guys, like. NBA, value the regular season more. Maybe guys wouldn't sit out fucking games.
Because it does kind of desensitize.
The top 6.
It takes out the beginning, or like, what's the regular season for? If we're going to let everybody in.
66% of teams.
Right.
My God. Okay, I will not apologize for that view. I think that...
Good view.
I want competitiveness. And I want that drive. I want it to be held to a standard from the start of the regular season. This load management, the cause of that is because you let so many teams in. People are like, screw it, y'all. We'll just get in at the 9th seed. It doesn't matter. We're a game and a half out. You know, we're 7 games under 500 and only a game and a half out. Who cares? We'll just rest who we need to just squeak in, and then we'll push. So, and then you got 2 months of playoffs. Yeah, holy shit, man.
Yeah, playoffs are going to start in like 2 weeks, and it's like April, and they don't end until June.
End of June. Yeah.
End of June.
Right around my birthday, June 24th. Shout out.
Right about that.
What do you guys... Yeah, that's... Okay, thank you for listening. That was...
Rammed it up, brother.
That's how I feel. That to me is 100... You will not push me off of that thought process for that, so Fandom.
Well, I can kind of continue off of that. I find myself rooting for chaos. Like, to talk about the NBA, my God, the Mavericks, man. what that whole Kyrie trade, it was just bonkers to begin with.
Yeah,
Everyone was
talking about it earlier, huh, Chuck?
You sure?
I'm sure. Like, obviously, like everybody was talking about that not being a good deal that the Mavericks made to begin with, and it's all coming to fruition. Like,
all you gotta do is call us 1-800 smart moves.
Smart moves. Like, I mean, come on. The Mavericks are worse now with Kyrie. He's probably gonna leave. I'm hoping Luka leaves. The Mavericks have they swung and missed too many times. Okay. It's been a shit show, and I want better for him. I want to see him at his best, and then I want to see him lose to the Warriors, because that's my fandom, and I want to beat him. But it's not just even basketball. Like, football, too. Like, I have a grudge against Jim Irsay. Like, what are you doing? I loved watching Peyton Manning play. One of my favorite quarterbacks. And then you destroy Luck. And then it's just been a rotating door quarterback. And then you're not even going to try and talk to Lamar? Like, ooh, we're going to take our chance on a draft pick. I hope the Cardinals trade out of 3 and somebody else takes a quarterback in front of the Colts. Like, nah, you deserve that. I hope that happens.
You want to rag on the Browns too while you're
going? Let's keep going, dude. I love everything about this. I could jump in, but I'm loving the takes. Let's go.
I mean, the Browns, come on. The whole thing with we're going to offer Deshaun all this money, and then, like, the Falcons would be like, nah, we're good. Like, we were in on that Deshaun Watson guy because all that stuff he has going on.
That hype, though.
But Lamar, nah.
Who's won an MVP?
Nah, we're good.
Who was 45 and 16 as a starter?
Like,
come on.
Yeah, I understand.
The proof's in the pudding.
I understand Lamar fits a certain offense. I understand he has injury concerns. But what I know is when he's healthy, he's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. And that's proven.
Top what, Trevor?
No. Like, teams that need a quarterback are just out on that? What are you doing? That is bad business.
Bad business.
Get your shit together. Unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
I'm going to roll off of Trev's bad business.
Let's go.
Since opening day, I'm going to have a baseball segment again. It's my third one.
3 in a row.
No, I had a wrestling one in between.
That's right.
Yeah, we go baseball here. Something I grew up playing my whole life. Love it. One of my favorite teams of all time. I wear it all the time. A's. These guys probably are more football of the fans.
I want to be a basketball fan.
My A's are my A's are my like fandom. That's who I roll. And what you do as running a team is fucking pathetic. You literally fucking trade everybody away last year.
Everybody.
Olsen, Chapman, all gone, and then you raise your ticket prices. How in the fuck do you raise your ticket prices after you just trade everybody? And then this year, you just traded Christian Pache, who you traded for Matt Olson. Trade him away for just some relief pitcher from the minors. What are you doing? Are you like literally trying to pull the we're tanking to get out of Oakland? You not give a fuck what your fans think? Like you are one of the worst run baseball teams or organizations ever. Look how much stuff you give everybody else.
Might as well be a farm system.
Might as well be a farm system for everybody else. And I have always tried to defend. I am not defending anymore. This is fucking pathetic. We didn't go to one game last year because why would I pay to drive from Reno to Oakland to watch what you were putting out? We always do. Me and my wife love going to games. We go to one or two every year, and we didn't go last year. We didn't even watch much of what you put on the field on play. And it's not against the players on the team. I have no offense against the players on the team. But it's a minor league fucking team that is on the field right now. You were the worst team in baseball. Hands down. It is pathetic what you have done. Are you just trying to push your way out of Oakland? If you're just doing that, just get the fuck out of Oakland and use your $1 million or $1 billion of money and just buy a spot in Vegas. Don't try to use whatever. Just fucking do it. Like, come on. Like, Oakland A's, I love you.
Slacking.
As a team, I hate you as owners and the way you run the team.
I wanna go ahead and bring this in since we're more or less just talking about horribly ran organizations or just the bullshit that as a fan you have to deal with watching these people think that they're above, without us, without you, without the general fan and all of this around it, none of them would exist it's supply and demand, and unfortunately we feed into it. But what I want to say is that fuck Dan Snyder, and I hope he doesn't get $6 billion for the Washington Commanders.
That's chunk of change, dude.
That is a man who has committed so many egregious and heinous crimes, if you will, that have been proven. Let's be real about this. Like it has all come out that these things that have happened did happen.
But the Suns owner just got a chunk of change for doing that shit. The dude from the Clippers got a chunk of change.
We're just talking shit. We're just talking.
The Panthers owner got a chunk of change for doing that type of shit.
Okay, well I don't want to get. We're not giving passes to him. What I'm saying is that $6 billion into the pockets of a man who has ran that organization into the ground.
Since he's bought the team, they have been absolutely
agreed.
Putrid.
Bad things happen to him in jail. I hope the Commanders change their name after they get some new owners too. Just a big middle finger, Dan.
Where would you? I mean, come on, dude. All of the suggestions before Commanders had something with red in it, right?
But then somebody owned them all. Like Red Wolf or whatever.
I forgot
some dude owned all the things, and maybe he'd sell one to somebody else. If they sell it, maybe they become the Red Wolves or something. Because he would actually sell the name to the new ownership group because it's not Dan Snyder.
I think they should do something maybe with the Hogs too. That's always been kind of a staple.
That's the fandom in their direction for sure. Like, I just think it's sad that I think we're overvaluing the commodity itself. And the terrible thing is if teams are worth that much, why aren't we taking care of those who make that product as valued as possible? Like, we don't give the players all of their fair due. They squeeze them for all of their physical attributes, and then once they're out, they're not taken care of. You know what I mean? You got billions of dollars flying around them, and they can't get medical coverage once they're out of the league. Trash.
In like Snyder's case as well, it's not like they're putting that money back into the stadium for the fans either.
It's a broken down ass stadium. FedEx Field is trash. It's been well known that it is one of the worst stadiums. Yeah, exactly. So that's it. Fandom, you guys. Tell us down below. I want to hear some comments about some, things that piss you off in sports. What kind of owners, what kind of, you know what I did here, actually? This isn't a bad thing, but I just thought it was funny, was that the Niners are trying to borrow $120 million from the NFL to renovate a brand new stadium.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Levi's been around for, I think 8 years. What?
They didn't build it right, maybe.
No, it's built. It's a gorgeous stadium. I've been there several times. It's beautiful, but, it's just bizarre to think that stadiums such as FedEx Field or O.co.
It
used to be the Coliseum, right? Yeah, the Oakland doesn't have a team.
So they still play baseball there, so it's still there.
That has nothing to do with the NFL,
but it's still a shitty stadium.
It is. It's leaky as fuck, y'all.
It's actually really awesome. I love going there.
Let's hashtag take care of Oakland, right? Where's Beast Mode?
Well, no, they're probably not going to be a team in Oakland anymore.
Where's Beast Mode when you need him?
But let's jump into what we got going on coming up. So we got my national title coming up on Monday. Huge game
up for that.
That's gonna be a good one. Then after that, we got a little bit more free agency to look into. There are some names still out there. You got OBJ still out there. We still don't know what's going on with Aaron's deal yet. He wants to be a Jet. We don't know what's happening there.
Fatigue. Aaron Rodgers fatigue, but it is something to be.
So it is something to watch out for.
Let's hope that something actually pops and we get to tell you yay or nay.
We'll get to see what the draft pick. I think the latest news I heard it was that they're having trouble with the compensation pick.
Sure.
Is the thing, if he retires after one,
so
but you never know what you hear. Obviously, I mean, he's talking one thing, and then everybody. A whole nother story for another day. And then other than that, you got the Lamar stuff. And then we're getting into the playoffs. So keep your eye on the NHL and NBA playoffs. We will get into picking brackets of the NHL and NBA playoffs when they start. So keep in touch. Let us know what you think of teams getting in. If there's anybody you think that might make a run.
Yeah, and subscribe, follow on Twitter, Instagram. You can hear us on Buzzsprout and Spotify, and watch us on YouTube.
Let's go, you guys. Thanks so much for giving us your time. Balls and Brews out.
Balls and Brews.
Balls and Brews, guys. See ya.
Late.